Peace to everybody. This is about R. Kelly paid thousands of dollars to recover missing sex tapes and paid victims to lie, prosecutors say. And as you can see here, is R. Kelly, and behind them are the two victims that came out with their story. And any videos in this article, I will not play them because I do not want to get blocked by YouTube, because they have been blocking my videos on my main channel left and right. So, I'm not taking no chances. R. Kelly began paying thousands of dollars in 2001 to recover videotapes of himself having sex with teenage girls, federal prosecutors say. Yes, so he had to pay thousands of dollars in 2001 to recover videotapes of himself having sex with teenage girls. Nearly 2 decades later, Kelly, 52, is facing two separate federal grand jury indictments in Illinois and New York. The indictments released Friday allege Kelly recruited women for sex, persuaded people to conceal that he had sexual contact with teenage girls, and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars buying back the missing videotapes. Kelly was arrested in Chicago Thursday night and is expected to remain in custody at least until Tuesday. Well, wait a minute. They said until Monday, so now they're changing the day to Tuesday? Okay. So nearly 2 decades later, of course, Kelly is 52 years old. He's facing two separate charges, one in Illinois, one in New York City. He has been persuaded people to conceal that he has sexual contact with teenage girls. And teenage girls should not be having sex at all, really, because it destroys their life forever. If they come up pregnant or whatever, it will totally destroy them forever. So no teenage girls should be having sex ever. It's inappropriate for men to be going after these teenage girls. He briefly appeared in a Chicago federal court Friday wearing an orange prison jumpsuit. U.S. Magistrate Judge Sheila Finnegan delayed a decision on whether Kelly should be taken to New York and face charges there until he is arraigned in Chicago. And so it's up to the judge whether or not he should be taken to New York and face charges there. And and of course it was a brief court thing that he was in. And of course, here the picture, as you can see, I do believe R. Kelly with the orange jumpsuit, and I think these two are the lawyers, of course. And here's the judge, and she has to make a decision on not whether he should go to New York City or not to face charges there. Following the hearing, Kelly's attorney Steve Greenberg said his client should get bail on the charges he faces out of Illinois and New York. Well, these charges, once they're there, that's it. And of course, R. Kelly is a puppet for these girls, because he tells them what they can or cannot do. They got to get permission from R. Kelly for them to do things and that. And Steve Greenberg, he's another puppet, so he might as well go sit his butt down somewhere. He's certainly not a flight risk. He's not a danger to anybody at all, Greenberg told reporters outside the courtroom. So, Greenberg need to shut his mouth, okay, and let it take its course. R. Kelly may not be a flight risk, but who knows what could happen. He turned over his passport to the judge the first time, so what makes him think that he's going to get away with it this time? A 13-count indictment released Friday in the Northern District of Illinois accused Kelly of videotaping himself having sex with at least 4 girls under the age of 18 beginning in 1998. So there was a 13-count indictment released today of what R. Kelly has been doing. A few years later, after Kelly learned that some of those videos were missing from his collection, He and others began paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to several people to recover them, the indictment says. So why pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for them if they're missing from his collection just to get them back? Once they're gone, that's it. I mean, who got the tapes first of all? It had to be the lawyers, because they're the ones that got it. When they recovered the videos, the indictment states that Kelly and his associates directed people to take polygraph tests to ensure they had returned all copies of the videotapes. So also all the people that took the tapes, they had to take polygraph tests. Well, how kind of stupid is that? If you know the tapes are gone, let them stay gone, because some of these girls feel embarrassed about it enough. And of course, this is R. Kelly, wherever the heck he was at, about singing or whatever. Prosecutors allege Kelly and his former business manager, Daryl McDavid, facilitated a trip abroad in 2002 for a girl and her parents to make them unavailable to law enforcement. They also gave them gifts, including a GMC Yukon Denali SUV, and money for over a decade to lie to investigators and conceal the girl's sexual relationship with Kelly, the indictment said. So prosecutors have trying to get a hold of Daryl McDavid, but there is a Daryl Johnson that Timothy Savage is trying to get his hands on, because he wants to know where his daughter is. But this Daryl McDavid, or however you say his first name, but he had effectuated a trip abroad in 2002 for a girl and her parents to make them unavailable. Of course, they bought gifts for the girl. It was a GMC Yukon Denali SUV and money. In the Illinois indictment, Kelly is charged with 1 count of conspiracy to receive child pornography, 2 counts of receiving child pornography, 4 counts of producing child pornography, 5 counts of indictment of a minor to engage in criminal sexual activity, and 1 count of conspiracy to obstruct justice. So R. Kelly's got all these charges against him. 1 count, 2 counts, 4 counts, 5 counts. So that's a lot of charges stacked up against him. A separate 5-count indictment in the Eastern District of New York accused Kelly of sexual exploitation of a child, kidnapping, forced labor, and violations of the Mann Act involving the coercion and transportation of women and girls in interstate commerce to engage in illegal sexual activity from 1999 to the present. So he has been doing this from 1999 till now. And child kidnapping, that is definitely against the law right there. Forced labor and violations, that's another law that is broken, that you cannot be doing to a child under the age of 18. R. Kelly's enterprise was not only engaged in music, as alleged. For 2 decades, the enterprise at the direction of R. Kelly preyed upon young women and teenagers whose dreams of meeting a superstar soon turned into a nightmare of rape, child pornography, and forced labor. The musician turned predator allegedly used his stardom to coax some victims into nefarious sex acts, while certain members of his enterprise calculatingly effectuated the aberrant conduct. Homeland Security Special Agent in charge, Angel Melendez said in a statement. And so R. Kelly's enterprise had done a lot of things, and of course all the people that are around him, they had engaged in some of this mess too of what happened, like soon turned into a nightmare of rape, child pornography, and forced labor. Now that's a terrible thing to do to a child, to be doing this. Kelly has vehemently denied allegations of sexual misconduct in the past. So how many times is he going to keep denying all these charges against him? Of course, he's not going to keep getting away with this too much longer. The accusations in the New York indictment detail alleged incidents in 4 states: Illinois, Connecticut, California, and New York. There are 5 Jane Does refurnished throughout, including 3 minors. Kelly is the only defendant in the indictment filed July 10th. So if Kelly was the only defendant, then who else were the other people in that defendant part? It was just him. There couldn't have been nobody else except for Steven Greenberg, his lawyer, who is also a puppet for R. Kelly. And of course, the accusations had came up, and it's like Illinois, Connecticut, California, and New York. The indictment also alleges he exposed at least 1 individual to a sexually transmitted disease without disclosing it. So if you have a sexually transmitted disease, you have to tell your partner, look, I got this disease, I cannot have sex with you. And the other person should understand what is going on, because if the person that you're about to have sex with don't disclose what they have, don't stick around for it, because it's disgusting and it's terrible. Kelly's attorney said the allegations appear to be the same as the conduct previously alleged against R. Kelly in his current state indictment and his former state charges. Yeah, so Mr. Greenberg really needs to sit somewhere, but he's saying that the allegations appear to be the same as the conduct previously alleged as before. And of course, here is R. Kelly with Gayle King. When he did the interview with her, he and his lawyers look forward to his day in court, to the truth coming out, and to his vindication from what has been an unprecedented assault by others for their own personal gain. Attorney Steve Greenberg said Friday in a statement. Most importantly, he looks forward to being able to continue making wonderful music and perform for his legions of fans that believe in him. So, I would not respect a child predator at all, because it's disgusting, it's horrible. His lawyer said that he was looking forward to his day in court, which he went today, but it was for a brief hearing. That's all it was. And the judge has to make a decision if he should be escorted to New York City or not to face those charges there. Kelly had been out on bond from state charges in Illinois. So R. Kelly's been out on bond, but it could easily be revoked no matter what. The singer is being held in the Federal Metropolitan Correctional Center in Chicago, according to U.S. Bureau of Prisons record. So R. Kelly's there for the weekend. He ain't going nowhere. So he's like, yeah. So, and of course, the judge has ordered it. The New York Police Department, Homeland Security, investigations, and other federal partners assisted in Thursday's arrest, a law enforcement source says. Yeah, so you got the New York Police Department, Homeland Security investigators, and other federal partners did assist in the arrest of R. Kelly. And of course, R. Kelly's the puppet, Steve Greenberg is the puppet. People lie every single day just to get away with it. Authorities allege Kelly and other members of the enterprise, described in the New York indictment as Kelly plus his managers, bodyguards, drivers, personal assistants, and members of his entourage, arranged for the women and girls to travel out of town to see Kelly on occasion, including at concerts. So you had all these people that arranged for the women and girls to travel out of town without the parents' permission. Even if some of the girls were like 20, 21, 22, but still, these girls could have told R. Kelly no, but instead, nope, they had to go right along with it. When the women arrived at the lodging, they were usually provided with instructions, and Kelly created numerous rules that his sexual partners were required to follow. They could not leave their rooms without Kelly's permission, including to eat or go to the bathroom. They had to wear baggy clothing, when not accompanied by Kelly. They could not look at other men, and they had to address Kelly as Daddy, the indictment said. Yeah, so how can these girls not be allowed to look at other men? They have a right to look at other men. And of course, they were forced to wear baggy clothing when not accompanied by him, and the girls had to call him Daddy. Please, I would have to smack R. Kelly in the face for ordering me that command. It's alleged Kelly and his associates obtained sensitive information about members and associates of the enterprise to maintain control over them, demanded absolute commitment to Kelly, and isolated women and girls from friends and family, making them dependent on Kelly for their financial well-being. So, for their financial well-being, I would no. I would be gone in a heartbeat before that even happens. Of course, sensitive information about members and associates of the enterprise. They were controlling the girls because they were not allowed to do what they wanted to do. Until Thursday, Kelly was free on a $1 million bond set in February. So, and of course, you know where that's going to go to. And you know the judge does have a right to revoke bail. So don't ever say, oh, well, he can't. They can't do that. Oh, yes, they can. He has faced accusations of abuse, manipulation, and inappropriate encounters with girls and young women for more than 2 decades, and has been on trial before. So he's been on trial before, but this one, he faced accusations of abuse, manipulation, and inappropriate encounters, and that is an awful shame. In 2002, Cook County authorities indicted Kelly on 21 charges related to child pornography. A jury acquitted him of all charges when the case was finally tried in 2008. So yeah, in 2002, authorities did indict him on 21 charges of child pornography. You know how sickening that is. And child pornography, that's sick. And of course, here's R. Kelly with his puppet lawyer, Steve Greenberg. And of course, R. Kelly's a puppet himself, controlling the girls and that. Interest in the case against Kelly was revived last year when the documentary series Surviving R. Kelly aired on Lifetime. And of course, I saw all 6 episodes of Surviving R. Kelly. The women came out with their story. They told what R. Kelly did to them. Last February, he was charged with 10 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abuse involving 4 alleged victims, including 3 who prosecutors say were underage girls. The charges span from 1998 to 2010. Kelly pleaded not guilty. So during that time, there was victims, including 3. There were underage girls, and underage is like under the age of 18, 17. So when you get like 16 and under, then that's where it's inappropriate for an older man to have sex with younger girls. And of course, the charges span from 1998 to 2010. He posted the $100,000 bail and left Chicago's Cook County Jail less than 3 days after he was arrested. He was arrested and jailed again in March for failure to pay his ex-wife child support for $161,000. And that's a whole lot of charge. That's a whole lot of money for him. But Andrea Kelly got all that money that he owed her because she was not putting up with it no more. And of course, R. Kelly sent her to Florida because she didn't want nothing more to do with him. So Andrea Kelly and her kids, they went to live in Florida. She's living a better life than before. And of course, the one who is a lesbian, thought it was a transgender, she does not want nothing to do with her father at all. And I don't blame if kids don't want nothing to do with their parents because, all the fighting and everything else. In late May, a grand jury indicted him on 11 more charges pertaining to one of the 4 accusers, including aggravated criminal sexual assault and criminal sexual assault. A person convicted of these charges can get up to 30 years in prison under Illinois law. Yeah, so he could get 30 years under Illinois law. And of course, the jury indicted him on 11 more charges. So there's more charges piled up on him, for including aggravated criminal sexual assault and criminal sexual assault. 2 of Kelly's former employees were charged in Chicago. McDavid, his former business manager, was charged with 1 count of conspiracy to receive child pornography, 2 counts of receiving child pornography, and 1 count of conspiracy to obstruct justice. He appeared Friday in court and pleaded not guilty. So one of R. Kelly's former business manager was also charged with the conspiracy to receive child pornography. Instead of turning it over, he got caught with it too. And of course, he pleaded not guilty. And of course, here's R. Kelly himself. And I don't know who that is with the blue blazer or whatever it is. Kelly and McDavid paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to a person identified only as Individual B to retrieve sex videos that went missing in 2001 from Kelly's personal collection, the indictment said. So R. Kelly had these personal collections of having sex with these girls, and of the identified Individual B was one of the people that had sex with R. Kelly. When Individual B announced plans for a news conference in June 2008 to announce he possessed sex videos of R. Kelly, he was paid $170,000 to cancel the news conference, the indictment says. How are you going to sit up there and cancel a news conference and knowing that you did something wrong? R. Kelly had some nerve to do that. And of course, he was paid $170,000 to cancel the news conference. Really? According to the indictment, Kelly and McDavid paid at least one of the girls shown in sex tapes identified as minor number 1 to give false testimony to the grand jury. The 2 men paid $250,000 to minor number 2 to return the video showing her and Kelly having sex, the indictment said. So now, Individual minor number 2 was paid $250,000 to return the video showing her and Kelly having sex. With the tapes come up missing, then R. Kelly wants them all back. Really? Come on. R. Kelly is broke. The other employee charged is Milton June Brown, 53. He was charged with 1 count of conspiracy to receive child pornography and is scheduled to appear in court June 19th. Of course, that already came and went, that he was in court already. Kelly's publicist Daryl Johnson was taking questions at a news conference in Atlanta Friday morning when the family of Jocelyn Savage, 23, one of Kelly's girlfriends, started yelling, "Where's my daughter at? Answer that question." And so the father had interrupted a news conference asking Daryl Johnson, "Where's his daughter?" And of course, when you don't see your kids for a very long time, and then you wonder if they're okay or not. Timothy Savage, Jocelyn Savage's father, said Friday that he hasn't seen his daughter since 2016 and hasn't spoken to her since a July 27 conference call in which she asked them to stop trying to contact her. So that was the last time that the father has contacted Jocelyn Savage, and of course she lied and say, "Oh, I'm not being held against my will," when she was, and that not to contact her. And of course this is Daryl Johnson, one of R. Kelly's business managers. "We want answers, and we want them now," Timothy Savage said. He and other parents allege Kelly has controlled their daughters' lives and manipulated them into cutting off contact with the outside world, including their families. Yeah, so R. Kelly was controlling these girls left and right, not allowed to do what they want to do. "I know nothing," Johnson said to the family. He promised to meet with them privately after the news conference. So whatever took place after the news conference, I have no idea. Johnson said Kelly is innocent and the indictments were a rehash of previous charges. "There is nothing new. We expected this to happen," Johnson said. So now that Johnson is saying that he is innocent. Really? I find that hard to believe. And of course the indictments were a rehash of previous charges. There was nothing new about that, and it was expected to happen at all costs, obviously. But with R. Kelly being a puppet master, same with Steve Greenberg, his lawyer, a puppet master. I mean, these people are sick and twisted and everything else you could think of. Leave your comments below. I am out.